What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the last episode of this mini series that I am doing on my wife's channel. Now, if you guys saw the thumbnail, I did get approved for my visa. So I'm gonna go ahead and break down to you guys the last appointment that I had for my visa. So if you guys are curious to see how that went, go ahead and stay tuned, and I'll talk about it in today's video. Now, if you guys have not seen my last videos, make sure that you stop this video and check out the previous ones, because there's some information on there that could be useful to you guys if you're going through the same appointments that I am going through. Now, if you guys watched my last video, you guys are aware that they took my passport, my birth certificate, my marriage certificate, and my marriage license. So in today's video, we're gonna go ahead and talk about those things here. For my second part of the interview, I did have it at 7 a.m. Now I did get there around 6 a.m. and there was still a line out there in front of the visa center. So I got there around maybe 6:20. We didn't get called back into the building until like maybe 6:35. And then the same chairs that we were waiting for the first part of the interview were the same chairs where I was sitting for this part of the interview. So before we get sat down, they're gonna make sure that you have your documents. They're gonna ask for your little slip that they gave to you in your first appointment that is confirming your appointment time. And then they're gonna just basically wand you down, check to see if you have any metal on you. And then again, very important that you guys don't take any unnecessary things like makeup, hairbrushes, toothbrushes, stuff like that, because they were still taking people out of line and basically having them remove those things from the bags because it's unnecessary things that you need for your appointment. So after you go through that checkpoint, you're gonna follow the green arrow just like how you did for your first part of the interview, and you're gonna get sat down in the same chairs where you got sat down for the first part of the interview. The only difference with this is these chairs where you're sitting are gonna represent the time that you have your appointment and what aisle you have your appointment in. So I believe there was 1, 2, and 3 aisles. So I was number 3. So they sat me in a specific place where all the people that are part of the aisle 3 are, sitting. And then don't be alarmed if you feel like you're waiting there for a long time. I waited in those chairs for about an hour before anything started happening. So it was kind of nerve-wracking. I was getting a little stressed out because nothing was moving, and I was just, wondering what was the delay. And I feel like maybe they start interviewing people at 8, because like I said, I waited in there for like an hour. I didn't have a watch, but it did feel like a very long time. So expect to wait. There is a gentleman out there that sells coffee and other things, so you guys can take some extra money and get yourself a coffee to make the time go fast. Now, since I was waiting there for an hour, I decided to kill some time and read the pamphlet that they gave me in my first part of the interview. That pamphlet is very important because during my interview they did ask me questions based off of that pamphlet. So make sure that you guys read through that, because most likely they will ask you some questions based on that pamphlet. So you don't want to be unprepared and not follow directions, because basically they did tell you in the first interview to read over this because they're going to ask you questions. So after about an hour sitting down on those chairs, we did get called back into the building. This is going to be the same building where you first had your first interview appointment, and you gave them your birth certificate, your passport, your marriage license, all those documents that they needed from you. It's going to be the same spot. The only difference is, like I said, there is aisle numbers now instead of like A to L and L to M. So like I said, I was aisle 3, so they sat me kind of like in the corner of the building. And then after I got sat down in that corner, things kind of started moving fast. And then when you're sitting down on those chairs, they're not like color coded or anything like that. I saw a video out there saying that there was like a red chair, blue chair, black chair, something like that, but they're all blue from what I remember seeing. Now, the chairs don't mean that you're gonna get your passport approved with the visa or not. They're just chairs, so don't overthink it. So when I was sitting down in that chair, like I said, things were moving kind of fast, and you can hear the interview questions that other people were asking. I am gonna let you guys know what questions they did ask me when it was my turn. So the first question that they asked me was to verify my first and last name. They asked me that in Spanish, but then later on, I think the lady noticed that I was having a hard time talking in Spanish. So she did ask me, do you want to, continue your interview process in English or in Spanish? And I did say I prefer English. At that point, she did want me to raise up my right hand, and she basically made me take an oath so that all the information that I was providing was true to my best ability or knowledge at the time. So after I verified my name, after I did the oath, she did take my fingerprints of my left 4 fingers. So be prepared for that as well. So after she verified my name, she pulled up my account. She did ask me for some additional forms. So she did ask me, first of all, if I have DACA, and I did say yes. She said, have you ever let your DACA expire? And I told her no. And then she said, okay, can I see your cards, your DACA cards? Do you have them? And I was like, yes, I have all of them. So I did show her all my DACA cards. She looked through them, reviewed the dates, just to make sure that none of them have ever expired. Everything was legit there, so there was no issues with that. After she reviewed that, she typed up some stuff in the computer, and she basically asked me when was the last time that I've been to Mexico, and I told her this is the only time that I've ever came back to Mexico was for my visa interview. She then asked me where I lived, and I told her I lived in Phoenix, Arizona. She wanted me to verify my address. I did verify my address, and then she started asking questions about my wife. She said, is your wife a citizen or a resident? I told her she's a citizen. She then asked me what kind of job or what kind of work does your wife do, and I told her the job that she does. She also asked how long I've known my wife for. I told her then I known her for 8 years. And then she also asked for her birth certificate, which is new. I did encounter somebody else getting kind of not denied, but his visa, I'm assuming, is going to get delayed because he did not have the birth certificate for his wife. So they specifically ask you where your wife was born. I had her birth certificate, so they were able to look at that information, so they didn't ask me. But very important that you guys have your significant other birth certificate, because they are turning people away if you don't have that. So yeah, after she asked me those things, she asked me, do you remember when was the first time you went to the United States? What year? And I did tell her it was in 2003 in my personal case here. And then she said, have I ever had any trouble with the law, or have I ever been arrested, or have I ever done any criminal or illegal things in the United States? And I said no. She also asked me, you don't have any tattoos, correct? And then I said yes. And then she also asked me, I see that you had your medical appointment as well. So she had that information there from the first appointment. She also asked me what I was going to do when I go back to the United States. And I basically said I'm going to go home to my home address, which at that point I had already verified my address. And then one thing that kind of got me a little scared that she asked me was she asked me for a I-86 4A. So this is not to get confused with the I-86-4, which it doesn't have an A at the end, the affidavit basically. So they're asking for the I-64A, which is a contract between you and the sponsor. Basically, I guess they want to know if your sponsor is able to support you for whatever reason, like financially. I told her I don't have that because all the years we've been filing taxes together. So she did look through the computer and was able to figure out something to get bypass that. But I would probably suggest asking your lawyers if you guys are married, or if you guys are together but filing taxes separately, if you guys need that form, because she did ask me for it and I didn't have it. But luckily the lady was very nice, and she just kept going on with the interview. I think that's about it that she asked me. So my interview did take about 5 to 10 minutes. I want to say closer to 10 minutes. because she was verifying all my information. But I went in there prepared. I went in there with my photos, with me and my wife, my tax forms, birth certificate, copies of birth certificate, recent bills of me and my wife that have our names together. Anything that you can think of, I had. So I want to say my interview went pretty smoothly. The only hiccup was with that form that I didn't have, that I didn't eventually need. After I answered all her questions, she started typing in the computer, and then she turned towards me and she started asking me some questions about that pamphlet that outlines what kind of rights you have as an immigrant. So very important again to review that pamphlet, because they're going to ask you questions about it. She basically told me to summarize what that pamphlet was about, and I basically just told her that, you know, it was about what kind of rights you have as an immigrant, that you can ask for help and it won't jeopardize your visa status. It's basically like that. So I would suggest for you guys to study that pamphlet, because they will ask you questions on it. After I responded to her, she took a few more minutes and she basically said, "Congratulations, your visa has been approved." And after she said that, guys, I got teary eyes and I got so excited and happy. So she did give me this green paper, and she highlighted this top section here that has a link and information to set up your kind of like your portal to get a notification when your passport is ready. So they do keep your passport. That's another thing. They'll keep it just because they need to stamp it with a temporary visa to get you across the border. So don't be alarmed if they don't give you your passport. That's basically your entry back to the United States. They'll give it back to you. So today, it's Tuesday. I had my interview like around 9. That's when it finished. So I'm hoping by tomorrow, Thursday morning or mid-morning, I'll get like an email or a text letting me know that my visa is ready for pickup. Once I get that, me and Luz are gonna head back to the United States, because I've been kind of stressing out about this whole process. I haven't been able to sleep for the last few days. As you guys can imagine, it can be a very stressful thing to do. It's probably the most stressful thing I've done in a very long time. But I want to say to you guys, just try to stay calm. If you have all your documents, then there's no reason for you guys to worry. I basically did this with my wife. Without her, this wouldn't be possible. So thank you so much for taking all the time out of your days to prepare me for the interview and for you to get all the documents that is needed. So I really want to say I really appreciate all your help with this process, babe. So if you guys have any questions regarding the second part of the interview, make sure to comment down below, and I'll try to answer those questions to the best of my knowledge. If you guys found the video entertaining, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends that might be going through the same case as me, and maybe they don't have information. I'll be more than happy to help out as best as I can. So I think that's gonna wrap it up as far as the mini series. After this, like I said, we're gonna get our passport and head back home. So I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace out. Solo.